Accessories are at the top of the box, including 2 M4 screws, 2 gaskets, 2 screws, 2 expansion bolts, 2 gaskets, 2 gaskets, 2 range nuts, 2 expansion tubes, 2 self-tapping bolts, 1 wall bracket and 1 battery base. Accessories are at the top of the box, including 2 ring terminals, 2 guard rings, 1 rotation wrench, 1 power cable, 1 CAN cable, 1 user manual, 1 negative charging cable, 1 positive charging cable, 1 communication cable. Accessories are at the top of the box, including 1 quick installation guide, 2 M4 screws, 1 communication cable and 1 power cable. Accessories are at the top of the box, including 1 communication cable, 1 power cable between BMS and battery module, 1 power cable between battery modules or BMS. Accessories are at the top of the box, including 1 bracket C, 1 bracket B, 1 bracket A, 1 negative battery power line, 1 positive battery power line, 1 user manual, 1 ground cable, 2 expansion bolts, 2 expansion tubes, 1 ring terminal, 6 black European terminals, 4 blue European terminals, 2 gaskets, 4 range nuts and 1 N-terminal adjacent bridge, only used for Australia. Accessories are at the top of the box, including 1 inverter bracket, 3 extension tubes, 3 self-tapping bolts, 3 gaskets, 1 M5 combination screw, 2 waterproof connectors with RJ45, 1 quick installation guide, 1 user manual, and 1 Wi-Fi Plus. Open the little box of the Wi-Fi Plus. You will find 4 screws, 1 user manual, 1 Wi-Fi Plus and 1 antenna. After taking out the battery base, adjust the balance of the base. And test with a digital level. Note, the distance between the battery base and the wall should be within a range of 19.3 to 20.5 mm. Take out the first battery. Use the 2 handles on the top to lift it up and place it on top of the base. Lock the 2 sides with M4 screws. Take out the second battery. Use the 2 handles on the battery top to lift it up and place it on top of the first battery. Take out the battery bracket and fix it on top of the second battery with screws. Tighten the screws. Mark the wall position holes with a marker on the wall. Unscrew the screws on the battery bracket. Remove the battery bracket and the second battery. Drill holes on the marked positions. Insert the expansion bolts into the holes. Reinstall the second battery and the battery bracket. Use a digital level to ensure the battery is installed in a horizontal position. Tighten the middle screw on the inverter bracket to connect the inverter bracket with the bracket B. Tighten the middle screw on the upper bracket A to connect the bracket B with the bracket A. Tighten the middle screw on the lower bracket A to connect the bracket A with the bracket C. Connect the assembled wall mounting brackets with the battery bracket. Screw the middle screw. Tighten the screw. Use a digital level to ensure the bracket is installed in a horizontal position. Mark position holes on the inverter bracket. Mark position holes on the bracket A. Tighten all the screws on the bracket. Take out the inverter and install it on the inverter bracket. Fix the side of the inverter with M5 combination screw tightly. Take out the X1 mate box. Remove the top cover. Open the lock by hand, turn over the lid and slide off upward. Unscrew and remove the isolation board. Install the X1 mate box on bracket A. Fix the side of the mate box with screw tightly. Unscrew and remove the dongle cover at the bottom of the inverter. Connect the Wi-Fi Plus to the dongle port and tighten the 4 screws with a screwdriver. Please make sure it is fixed tightly. Install antenna on the X1 mate box. Connect the antenna cable with the Wi-Fi Plus. Cut the cable tie on the inverter ground cable. Unscrew the screw on the ground port. Connect the ground cable to the ground terminal and pull the cable backward to check if it is firmly connected. Remove all the caps on the PV ports. Cut the cable tie on the cable. Here are two sets of PV cables. Connect the negative PV cable 1, negative PV cable 2, positive PV cable 1, and positive PV cable 2 to the PV terminals in accordance. Remove the caps on the BAT ports. Connect the negative power cable and positive power cable into corresponding BAT ports. Use the rotation wrench in the BMS accessory package to loosen the cap on the BMS port. Use the rotation wrench to loosen the cap on the CT port. Connect the BMS cable to the BMS port. Tighten the waterproof cap in counterclockwise direction. Connect the CT cable to the CT port. Tighten the waterproof cap in counterclockwise direction. Use a wire stripper to strip the core wire. Put the Euro terminal on the stripped core wire. Tighten the terminal on the wire with a terminal crimping tool and pull the cable backward to check if it is firmly connected. Use a wire stripper to strip the core wire. Put the Euro terminal on the stripped core wire and tighten it with a terminal crimping tool. Pull the cable backward to check if it is firmly connected. Put ring terminal on the stripped core wire and tighten the ring terminal on the wire with a terminal crimping tool. Slip the heat shrink tube onto the ring terminal end. Loosen and remove the cap on the PV port. Insert the PV cables into the inner waterproof rubber and insert it through the PV port. Insert the positive PV cable 1. Negative PV cable 1, positive PV cable 2, and negative PV cable 2 to the PV terminals in accordance. Pull the cables backward to check if it is firmly connected. Cut the cable tie on the two cables from the inverter. Remove the cap on the off-grid 1 port and then remove the cap on the grid 1 port. Insert inverter off-grid cable through the off-grid 1 port. Insert off-grid cable into the corresponding terminals on the mate box. Insert inverter AC cable and ground cable through the grid 1 port at the bottom of the X1 mate box. Insert AC cable into the corresponding terminals on the mate box. Pull the cables backward to check if it is firmly connected. Loosen screws on the ground terminals. Connect the ground cable to the ground terminal and fix it with screw. Insert N-terminal adjacent bridge into the N-terminal hole, for Australia only. Insert grid cable and ground cable through the grid port at the bottom of the mate box. Connect the ground cable to the ground terminal and fix it with screw. Then insert grid cable into the grid terminals on the mate box and tighten the screws. Pull the cables backward to check if it is firmly connected. Remove the cap on the load port. Remove the cover on the cap. Insert load cable through the load port. Insert load cable into the corresponding load terminals and tighten the screws. Pull the cables backward to check if it is firmly connected. Insert the battery power cables through the BAT port. Loosen the screws on the terminals. Insert 2 BAT cables into the corresponding terminals and tighten the screws. Unscrew the screw on the ground terminal of the mate box. Connect the ground cable to the ground terminal on the mate box. Pull the cable backward to check if it is firmly connected. Install the BMS. Open the side plate of the BMS and the batteries. Remove all the caps on the ports. Connect one end of the communication cable to the COM port on BMS. Connect the other end of the communication cable to the COM1 port on slave 1 battery. Please remove the lock cover on all power cables. Connect one end of the power cable to the lower B positive port on BMS. Connect the other end of the power cable to the upper B positive port on slave 1 battery. Connect one end of the communication cable to the COM2 port on the slave 1 battery. Connect the other end of the communication cable to the COM1 port on the slave 2 battery. Connect one end of the power cable to the lower B negative port on the slave 1 battery, and the other end to the upper B positive port on the slave 2 battery. Connect one end of the power cable to the upper B negative port on BMS, and the other end to the lower B negative port on the slave 2 battery. Please lock all the cables in place. Insert the positive and negative BAT cable in the ring, and insert the cable through the upper hole on the BMS with the ring. Fix the ring. Insert the ground cable and CAN cable in the ring, and insert the cable through the lower hole on the BMS with the ring. Fix the ring. Connect the positive power cable to the BAT positive port on the BMS. Connect the negative power cable to the BAT negative port on the BMS. Connect the CAN cable to the CAN port on the BMS. Use the rotation wrench to tighten it and pull the cable backward to check if it is firmly connected. Make sure all cables are firmly connected. Close the side plate of the BMS and the batteries. Install the isolation board plate back to the mate box. Screw it tightly. Install the top cover back to the mate box. And lock the buckle on the right side. Installation of the X1 ESS G4 system with 2 batteries is finished. Turn on the RCD circuit breaker. Turn on the AC circuit breaker. Turn on the DC switch on the left side of the mate box. Turn on the battery circuit breaker. Turn on the battery BMS circuit breaker and press the battery button to activate the battery.